You alright there, YouTube? Well, I've been asked to do a video actually on, well, I got asked on YouTube as a question, do I have a thing called Asperger's syndrome? And I do believe I do, yeah. I was never diagnosed with it myself, but my brother, who's younger than me, he has got it, and me and my brother are, yeah, we're both about the same, really. The same things, technology and things, and what we do, and we like taking things apart and seeing how they work, things like that. Yeah, it's just something that I do, and what we do, I suppose. See, my brother, he was diagnosed with dyspraxia, Asperger's, and very slight autism, and I do believe I've got those three myself as well. For instance, with myself, there's things that people laugh at and I don't find funny. Yeah, I do believe that's probably the autism side showing through. It's an interesting thing actually. It was Scott Tanner on YouTube who asked me, and he asked me on the handheld X-ray gun metal scanner video that I've got on my playlists. And he literally just said, this is a quote, "No offence, I really like your videos, but do you have Asperger's? If so, can you make a video on finding implements with the condition?" Now, implement, I'm not quite sure what he means by that. I'm not clued up on these kind of things, but with implement, I assume he means, any bad things about the condition. And in all honesty, I don't think there's anything bad at all about it. It is hard to explain, as I don't know. It's just a thing I live with, and I don't know much about it. I should really look into it a bit. My mum has. She did looked into it quite a lot, and she did that when when my brother was in school. Because throughout school we both had difficulties, learning difficulties. In some subjects that we just didn't have interest in. I mean, no offence if any of you guys are religious there, but me and my brother never really had any interest in religious studies at school. For me, it was that and English, which I don't really have much of an interest in. I mean, now, I don't really mind it that much. Now I'm growing up. You see, I believe that I left school too early, if that makes sense. If I stayed on till I was more adult, I would have learnt a bit more, about mathematics and things. I didn't do very good in mathematics either. I'm pretty sure my brother was about the same on that as well. Yeah, so in school, for instance, if it was a subject that I wasn't really interested in, so to speak, I would be thinking about other things, like this, looking at other things, stupid things like, wondering how the wiring works, going to the ceiling lights and things like that, wondering how they wired the switches up, silly things, technical things. And that's the thing that Asperger's seems to do to people. You have to excuse me, I've got a fan blowing on. It's quite hot in this room at the moment. The temperature is 25 degrees in here at the moment, so it's pretty toasty. Prime example here. My room, for instance. This is my bedroom. It's an absolute mess at the moment. It really is a tip. I work now, and another thing which was difficult with me was finding a job. Office jobs and things, they're boring, Working as a sales assistant, boring. I wanted something technical. But at the same time, I didn't want to be doing the same thing over and over again, repetitive, like working on production line or putting cars together or something like that. I actually work in a scrapyard, dismantling things. At the moment, I dismantle air conditioning units. At the moment, that's what I'm doing. After that, it's whatever else gets brought in. Dismantle it and separate the valuable metals from you know, the, as I call them, waste metals, which is just mild steel. It's, you know, well, mild steel's not really worth much, so you separate it all from that, and then you can, you know, get more money for pure parts rather than, you know, it all jumbled together. Anyway, another thing with Asperger's is you like to go into details on things that you know a bit about, which it can be a pain, that, but it doesn't matter that much, it's okay. So where was I? Slight forgetting as well you get with Asperger's. For instance, I do forget things quite a lot. Even, you know, if you carry a little notebook around with you, you just forget to use it. You know, you don't bother using it. You know, you used to forget to use that as well. It's interesting, it really is. And with me, like I say, my room, for instance, it's full of, that's like quite technical things. You know, I like electronics. I'm not massively brilliant with electronics, but I just love electronics. You know, soldering iron is my #1 tool when it comes to fixing things. You know, don't get me wrong, I like using spanner sets and stuff, but you know, electronics is what I like doing. And I like learning. I like learning about technology and how things work. Working in a scrapyard, although you're taking things apart, it's quite handy because as you take certain things apart, you can see how it goes together and you can work it out in your head. You know, for instance, air conditioning systems, yeah, refrigeration. Yeah, you work out, it plumbs into there, and that goes through that capillary tube, and that obviously causes the gas to, you know, expand, and when it gets released into a bigger opening, it contracts and releases all that, you know, and that's how you get the heat dispersing. You know, it squashes it down, cools it down, and then when it expands again, it super cools as it expands. You know, just things like that. You know, again, technical. You see, you go into it. It's actually difficult for me to not actually go into technical things. It's just something that I do. But yeah, like I say, in my room, I mean, things like little switches and things, you know. I guess I'm a little bit of a hoarder, but I have actually got a plan for use for this thing, because they're actually quite hard to find. And it's a switch where it's normally in an off position like that, a bit like a car ignition switch. That will be on, but it also has a sprung-loaded start. So when you flick it across to that, it will spring back to the on position. Now, to find a switch that does that is quite hard, because normally they're key switches, not just switches like this. Now, I don't know what they call these switches, but now I've got one. You know, it's quite nice, and I will be using that on my car. I don't know what yet for, but I will be using it for something. But yeah, like I say, my room is a tip. You get things like I don't know. I like little laptops, for instance. What else have I got? I've got hard drives, bloody hard drives and things littered around the place. You know, not really much use for anything, but yeah. Right, stuff in here as well. I've got an old router that I'm just holding on to because I might need it, you know. But I actually plan on taking that one to work and use it as a range extender for the Wi-Fi there, because works right. The Wi-Fi at work is quite only works around like the office area, and that's it. You know, it's not. I can't really get it where I am in the unit that I work in. Kind of drifting off topic here, I suppose, aren't I? But like I say, you just go into technical things. I don't know if this is how it is with everybody with Asperger's, but with me, it is that. Now, they say normally you're very good with numbers if you have Asperger's, and I don't think I am. You know, you know, I have to use a calculator for doing even basic maths. You know, times table. You know, 8 9s. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. I can't work it out that quick. You know, 7. You know, 4 7s, things like that. You know, I would have to work it out for a while. That, you know, I can't just relay it out to me, I'll just get a calculator. Whether that's laziness, I don't know, but I'll just get a calculator and work that out. You know, I mean, measurements and things. You know, it's for me, it's simple stuff. You know, I like using the metric system because everything equals out to 100. You know, everything is got zeros on the end. It makes it nice and simple. But I do find myself sometimes working in inches, but that's because it's a bigger scale. You know, it's bigger than a centimetre, so I'll say, oh, it's an inch. You know, or so and so inches because it measures up to that. But centimetres is what I prefer to work in because it's easy to multiply and to add to it. I don't really know what else, you know. Make a video on him finding implement. You see, I've lived with it my whole life, and I've just, yeah, I just don't really know of any problems, you know, that I have with it. It's other than when I was in school, you know, that was a bit of an issue. But now I'm older, you know, I think it's made me a bit more relaxed as I'm older. Back when I was a kid, I was probably a bit hyperactive, and you know, I was very stubborn probably as a kid. Not as much as my brother was; he was quite bad with it. But with my brother, if he didn't want to do something, he just didn't do it. He'd just sit on the floor, you know, arms crossed, no, not doing it. And you could not make him do it no matter what discipline you gave him. He would stand his ground. If he didn't want it, you know, if he didn't want to learn that particular subject, or if he didn't want to, you know, be involved in something, he was quite stubborn because of that. And yeah, interesting, really. It's, like I say, it's difficult to explain. It really is difficult to explain. I know it was going to be hard making this video. But like I say, yeah. With me, like I say, it's technology and things I find interesting. Because I work at a scrapyard, it can be quite bad actually. Because you know, you see something, it's like, oh, that's so cool, I want to get it working again. And me, again, fixing things, that's something that I love doing. You know, I've taken that many things apart, I can see what fails in them. And with the power of the internet, you can just order the component. If it's an electrical component, you can order that online, solder it back in, you know, and 9 times out of 10 it works again. You know, you can get things from the scrapyard for pennies, you know, from what they should cost, even second hand. As it's a scrapyard, they are literally sold as scrap. Plus a bit extra that the scrapyard themselves may make on top of the sale, but that's not that much. Yeah, it's just something that I've got. That's all I can say. It's something that I've got, I was born with, and I learned to live with it. Oh, and I don't know if I've got a pen here actually on my desk. I don't think I have. I'd show you my handwriting. Turn up the thing. All right, this is actually a thing, but handwriting is a problem. For instance, there you go. That's the word test. And as you can see there, my handwriting is quite bad. And I read somewhere on something that having very bad handwriting is apparently a sign of a higher level of intelligence. I don't know, I don't think I'm that intelligent myself. I've never took an IQ test. I would like to see what I get in there. But it would be quite an interesting thing. You never know, I might be a genius, but I don't see myself as a genius. You know, I can fix the odd 1 or 2 things here and there, but yeah, it's interesting. It really is. It's an interesting subject, and I would like to learn more about it, because I will be learning more about myself there. But yeah, I mean, I might be able to get me mum to do a video of it, maybe, because she, like I say, she knows a lot more about it than I do. But in terms of living with it, you just live with it, you know. Oh yeah, I mean, friends at school. I never really had many friends because of the way I was. In fact, in junior school, I was actually put a couple of classes higher because of the way how I could learn things. You know, I found the stuff that the older people was, you know, the people higher up than me, a few years older than me, was doing, was more interesting than the stuff I was learning. You know, simple circuits and things. I've been doing that for years, even back when I was at school doing the subject. You know, batteries, bulbs. You know, that was nothing to me. Hell, I was soldering at 5 years old. You know, 5 years old, and I was able to solder my own stuff up. So that kind of stuff to me was just boring. You know, I built the circuit up before the teacher finished explaining how to do it. You know, but yeah, it's just something. You know, it's just what's in you. It's just something that's in you. That's all I can put it down to. I mean, if you're watching this video and you've got a you know, a son or a daughter or a grandchild or brother maybe or sister, you know, and they've got the signs of this interesting yeah, I'm not going to call it a disability, because it's not that you know, it's not much. You know, you're not very disabled. You're just different. You know, I don't consider myself disabled, although I sometimes joke, you know, yeah, I'm disabled from the neck up. You know, it's just a joke, that. But, you know, I don't class myself as disabled because I've got it. In fact, I class myself as pretty able, really. It's quite nice, because sometimes you see the more simple ways of doing things. At the same time, you can see very advanced ways in doing things. Now I don't know if that is something that is in with this or not, but you know, there's so many things that when I was a kid I was very interested in astronomy. I used to love it, you know, learning about things. I mean, I never really like the BBC now, but back then on BBC Two they used to have these learning things really early hours of the morning. And I used to watch them, and it was about space. You know, sometimes there was a couple about space or something. And I remember having my very first VCR, and I was up in the room upstairs. I'm downstairs at the moment, living in this room. This used to be the old kitchen. This did. And yeah, I remember when I was young, I got up for some reason at night time, couldn't sleep or something. I put the TV on, you know, sneakingly doing that, so my mum couldn't hear it. The volume right down. Yeah, old cathode ray tube telly, like an old VCR, probably from like the early '80s. You know, it's got the compact. Sorry, it's got the CFL screen. You know, sometimes see it on microwaves where it lights up. Not the Nixie tube type, but the just before LCD come out. You know, it used to light up. I've got a clock up there with the same, you know, me bedside clock, so to speak. So I've got a lofty bed, and this is my desk underneath, and I've got the bunk bed up the top. Save space, you see. But yeah, I mean, in terms of finding, say, you know, with friends, it was pretty difficult. Most of the time, you can only really mix with friends that also have the same interests. You know, with like technology and things like that, and learning. Mechanics for the moment is something that I'm doing. I've actually got, you've probably seen if you've watched my videos, the 2 cars I've got. At the moment I've got 3 cars now. I've got 2 old-fashioned Fiat Panda 4x4s. If you don't know what they are, if you're from overseas, like, they're a small European car with a hatchback. They're only about, I'd say 8 foot long. Well, probably about 10 foot long. The car is. They're about just a metre and a bit wide. You know, very very square and boxy. Just Google it. You know, Google the early 90s, 80s Fiat Panda. And the ones that I've both got are both 4-wheel drives as well, which is quite nice. Only small cars with small engine, but I love them. You know, I always wanted one as a kid. You know, when I was in school, I always wanted one. And one day, I was looking at cars one day, and I saw the old Citroen BX, and they've got like the hydraulic suspension on them. You know, stock factory fit. And I remember that being one of the first cars in my memory as a kid. And my parents had one years ago. It was a hatchback version, and it was silver, a lightish silver in colour. And the only thing I can really remember about the car that much is when I was a kid, I was told don't pull a handle under the seat because it will turn it into a van. And of course I was always dead afraid then that if I touched that, the whole car would magically turn into like a transit van, you know, literally. But as a kid, you see, you know, watching too much Inspector Gadget, I think. Or is it Hong Kong Phooey? You know, because he used to have a car that used to change into. Yeah, and I always remember the sound of the engine. It was a diesel. It was the 1.7 diesel engine, turboed. And I always remember the sound. It sounded absolutely brilliant. Such a beautiful sound. And it was a very clattery. Yeah, think of a diesel engine that's not commercial sounding, but it sounded super clattery, like very very clattery diesel engine. You know. And I always remember that sound. You know, it's a sound that I've been trying to replicate for years. You know, with cars. And in the end, I just, because I'm working now, I just turned around and thought, you know, I'm working, why not just buy one? You know, I'll go out and buy one. So I did. Literally, I did. I went out and found one, and I bought that, you know. And I'm now in the process of doing that car up and getting it road legal. In fact, here at the moment I have got, which has come through the post today, a sump gasket for the car, which I've got to take to work tomorrow. And yeah, I'm at work tomorrow, so I'll use that at work. And, you know, I'll put it in the car, and on my day off, on my days off, I'll go back into work, and my car is stored at work. And yeah, I'll, you know, because I've got the engine out the car at the moment in bits. I'm redoing all the seals on it and things, you know. Things like that, you know, things that, say, the average person would go and take the car to the garage to have done, you know. I'd see it as a bit of a challenge, you know, and I think to myself, well, if they can do it, why can't I? You know, reseal the whole engine. That sounds difficult, but there's manuals online, you know, I've got a good toolkit. I'll just do it myself, you know. And that's basically what I'm doing now, in the process of doing that. Yeah, that's about it really, guys, you know. It's yeah, I suppose if you want to go in a bit personal, relationships and things can be a bit difficult, I suppose. For instance, I am single right now. If there's any ladies out there. Oh, I'm joking. I'm actually pretty happy with the way I am, you know. The one thing that scared me the most was, you know, when I did the math and how old I am now, and took it off the age of my mum and found out that she was a bit, you know, I mean, what am I now? I'm 28 years old now, and I'm pretty sure my mum was 25, 26 when she had me. And it kind of scares me a bit, that does, you know, because it's like that thing, you know, time's running out, so to speak. I know, you know, you're never really too old, I suppose, to have kids, but you don't really want to have kids when you know, like in your late in your late 40s, do you? You know, or late, especially late 50s. You know, by the time your kids in teenage years, you're going to be like, 70-year-old if you're still alive, and that's a bit grim, really, isn't it? Right? And my dad always said to me, sadly I lost my dad to a car crash back in, not a car crash, a motorcycle crash. It wasn't his fault, it was a fault of the bike, actually. But yeah, I lost my dad to that. And, in times of mourning, I suppose, it can be difficult, but it's difficult for anyone. With me, I was told I just played it silent, I just never said out about it, I was just quiet about it. My brother was quite upset. My brother looks a lot like my dad, in many ways, I don't really look like my dad that much. There's probably bits of me in him, right, yeah, you know what I mean. But, my brother, he really takes after my dad, height and the way he walks, a lot of things, yeah. And, well, yeah, anyway, like I say, relationship-wise, it's difficult because I'm not exactly like looking for a girl that's, how they say, like the dumb blonde and all that, where they just go about, I would like someone who's technical and, a bit like me, actually, I know it sounds a bit silly, but if I could find the female equivalent of me, I know that sounds a bit really weird. I'd probably like a match made in heaven, really, because we could both, at the same time, be partners in crime, so to speak, as well as, together as lovers, so to speak. It would be quite interesting, I suppose. It's something I've not really ever thought of, really, I suppose, but, it's one of those things. Eventually, the right girl will come along. So they always say, they always do. You could say I'm a bit eccentric in the, especially the car I drive, if you've seen it, but check out the other videos. It's definitely something. You've seen the VWs, and they sometimes use the rat look theme. Well, I've gone one step beyond that, and I've gone scrap look. And the car's fully road legal, it's fully everything, fully legally allowed to be on the road and whatnot. But yeah, it's not even a statement or anything. I didn't do it to be, to prove a point. I just did it because I can do it. Let's do it, I wanted to not exactly be different, but I wanted to make people smile, Whenever people see it, they always smile at it, Well, the odd one or two people shake their heads at it, but everyone's got their own opinions and everyone's different. I don't mind that, I don't mind people voicing their opinions to me as long as they're not too harsh. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing. Wow, 28 minutes I've been rambling on for about this, and most of it's probably mumbo jumbo. Well, I guess that is how you see how I am with it, I don't know if you could compare it, say, to yourself, if you've got Asperger's or if you've not got Asperger's. But yeah, another thing I never really had was, I never had a thing called dyslexia. Dyslexia is where words move around on pages and things. Never had that. I can read perfectly. My reading skills are pretty good, I do think, anyway. There's sometimes there's the odd one or two words I have to, phonetically read out, but I'll get it in the end. And if I don't understand what it means, I just Google it. It's cheating, isn't it, this internet? It's an amazing thing. But I suppose if you want to learn more, there's plenty of articles online. I don't know any references, but this is just me, This is me, this is what I am, and pretty damn sure I've got this Asperger's syndrome because my brother's got it, and I'm definite I've got it because we're both two peas in a pod, Pretty much, in fact, I'm pretty sure that when the school learned that, I had a brother, there was like, oh no! I think teachers actually left because of that. No, I don't think about that. Yeah, fun, fun, fun. But yeah, yeah. Trying to think of other things, but that's it, I think. That's half an hour rambling, so this video's going to take a while to upload. Hey, you guys keep safe and everything and whatnot, and I'll probably catch you on the next video, whatever it's going to be. So for me, John Dragonman, peace out.